Hey guys, welcome to the Anichat anniversary special. With me today, I have literally only Alex.
Heyo.
You see, the plans for this anniversary special is that I could get all the members who, are part of this currently and haven't quit. And, well, as you can see, that just didn't happen. British Senpai, I don't know what she's doing. Day hasn't responded in 70 days. Um, Manny went to go see Logan. And Kira said she wasn't going to show up today, like earlier today. And I was just like, whatever. I didn't insult her. I didn't insult any of the members, mainly because, I get it. They have better things to do on Friday night. Well, actually, the only person justification who gave me one is Manny, but, whatever. That's okay. You know, he's the only one. And he's the one who doesn't text back usually. Yeah. So I promise not to assault them in this call. But, yeah, I had to anyways, just a little bit, but not too much. All right. So, Eric, Sue, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I've been playing the Steins Gate VN.
So you want to talk about how faithful it is to how faithful the anime is. I know about this a little bit because I've watched some reviewers talk about the VN compared to the anime, and anime still stands up pretty well compared to the VN, from what I understand. Still,
Yeah. Also, the VN is fantastic.
I can believe
Um,
it.
it's literally the anime with more science and Okabe sending really savage text messages.
Okay, well, I think they toned down the science and savagery to appeal to a larger audience. To be honest,
Oh yeah, like when I was like particle physics because I
Mhm.
can and I understand a lot of it because I try. Shout out to trying. Anyway, um, and like they're talking about like Penrose diagrams and you know a bunch of like random quantum theories in like the first chapter, and I'm just like, I actually kind of know what you're talking about.
Well, if you recall in the first episode, they were throwing around names, but it was a supercut.
Yeah,
They kind of gloss over it in the anime because I'm pretty sure they're like, our audience is 14-year-old boys. I don't think they know what we're talking about. And I don't blame them. You know, I mean, when you're competing with SAO and you're trying to be witty, usually
yeah,
wittiness loses. But, no, Steins Gate did well.
yeah. Um, Another thing, it feels like all of the girls and Ruka have a lot stronger presence just like in the first couple hours of the game than they did in the anime.
I can believe it.
Whereas the anime is like, here's Mayuri, you know,
Here's Kirisu.
yeah, here's Kurisu, this is Ferris, this is Ruka, this is Moeka, you know, etc.
Mhm. Shining Finger. That is a Gundam reference. It's the Shonen Gundam.
Also, like they just drop a ton of anime and manga references because all of the characters are just giant nerds.
Also, they live in a town where they're in Moe Central. There's maid cafes everywhere. People
Yep.
play anime trading card games in public, which is why everyone's not so surprised that Okabe is super weird.
Yeah. Um, I'd actually say that Okabe is a little weirder in the visual novel. However, you also get his internal dialogue, which is surprisingly inconsistent because, like, some of the time in his internal dialogue, he's totally like, oh, the organization is out to get me. And then other times he's just like, this is just a thing I do. Wherein, in the anime, it was very much so, this is just the thing I do.
Hmm. So you're going. maid cafe route, I assume.
I'm trying to go Ferris route first. However, the way the game works is you make all of your decisions by sending text messages to people, and
Yeah.
depending on who and what you send, you don't really have a say in what you send. You have a say in what you respond to, and sometimes Okabe just decides to be savage AF, and you're just like, I didn't want to do that, but okay.
I can believe that. Are you going to buy the sequel based on what you've seen so far?
uh, this VN is pretty good. It's entertaining. The characters are all pretty likable.
When Gilgamesh is Daru. Never
Yes,
forget.
and then he drops Type Moon references, and I'm like, that's the stuff.
Um, you see, the Steins Gate universe is weird because psychic powers are a thing, but Steins Gate is very much grounded with humanity.
Mm,
But like, you know how it's very sciencey?
yep.
Almost every other thing in that franchise is like magic.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's super weird. Magic and psychic powers seem to be like the foundation for like all the other things in that universe, and I'm like, Steins Gate is so sciencey though. Like, what?
That's
Like,
hilarious because Okabe uh, likes to call a bunch of people espers.
you know, he also calls Ruka a real shrine maiden
Yes,
with an exorcism blade.
yes.
Okabe doesn't believe a lick of them is supernatural, but like in his universe, it is super canon. Super canon. Probably more canon than most of the things happening in Steins Gate because there's so much of it.
Yeah.
Um, I should watch the sequel to Chaos Head, even though Chaos Head was way weird. Chaos Head is so weird compared to Steins Gate because MC is like a bigger loser than like all the members of the lab combined.
How does that even work?
He lives on like a roof in like, you know those things that they have at the docks that are like the cargo boxes that are like metal?
Yep.
He lives in one of those things, if I recall correctly, and he has like posters and posters of just naked anime girls, and then like walls to walls of just figures of girls in bikinis, right? And he sits in his room and plays RPGs and VNs and hentai games all day rather than going to class. And he has a thing for his emoto.
Hmm.
He suffers from delusions, but
Hmm.
he still gets a bigger harem than Okabe.
Even though Okabe is just like, I'm going to school, I have a mad scientist complex. I'm not a loser, really. I'm just a geek who's weird.
MC in Chaos Head is legitimately crazy. Like he talks to his favorite anime girl because he suffers from delusions and literally cannot tell reality from his mind.
I see.
Like he's literally insane, but he still gets a harem. And he still gets the ability to like pull swords from different dimensions and tear holes in reality.
Um, Another thing to shout out is Okabe is like really good looking for compared to most harem protags.
Yeah, he's supposed to be swaggy AF.
Yes, like low key Okabe is basically my aesthetic.
Mad scientist,
Yep,
bi shonen who doesn't try to be bi shonen. That's why he doesn't shave.
yep,
If he shaved, he'd be Bishi. He just needs to shave. But I think Okabe just doesn't care. That's the whole thing.
yes. Did you mean my aesthetic?
Oh man, thinking about Bishis makes me think of Sakamoto. Just
100%.
Sakamoto is fantastic. Sakamoto is everyone's aesthetic. If he isn't, you need Jesus and Sakamoto, for that matter.
Same.
Um, but other stuff that's weird in Guilty Crown. See, oh yeah, all of the girls that are like in his harem also have swords that can rip through reality,
Mm.
and there's just a bunch of them with swords that can rip through reality, and he suffers from delusions the whole freaking time. And the
Well,
sequel isn't even about him, and I think it's about more people whose swords rip through reality. I don't think MC is as big as a loser, but I haven't checked out yet.
okay.
Occultic 9 is about 9 people, as the
Mm.
name implies, and
Yep.
dealings with the occult. There is a chick who made a contract with a ghost who is pretending to be Satan,
Mm. Okay.
like, and she has magic powers. And there's another chick, if I recall correctly, who brother. Okay, so her parents died, right? His parents were rich and stuff, but they were running out of money because their family members took advantage of them. So her brother ended up working all the time,
Yep.
and then her brother ended up getting hit by a car and dying.
Okay.
And she was in the hospital, and she like was also in the hospital from shock. And then she woke up and was like having delusions of her brother being alive, and she took home the corpse, thinking he was alive, and lived with it for 2 years.
Oh.
And then until she was finally put in a mental institute for like a year, and they took the corpse away from the house
Mm.
because some people were reporting a horrible stench
Mm.
because it was just oh my god. There's a chick who read Yaoi Dojinshi, and like she wrote a scene in there that happened exactly the way a murder happened.
Yep.
MC is a high school student who writes a blog about the occult.
Yep.
There's a guy whose dad wasn't a famous occult researcher slash scientist, and he ends
Mm.
up dead. And MC was already not MC, but his kid was already super angsty. And then
Yep.
MC has like this Mayuri ripoff chick with tits big enough to like crush an elephant. And then they like MC and a dim-witted side chick. Um, they hang out at a cafe run by this extremely flamboyant man, who, when he's serious, voice gets deep AF,
Mm.
and it's kind of funny. But on top of that, MC befriends his like fetish Idoru because she starts going to their school,
Yep.
and she has the ability to predict the future. But people were calling bullcrap on her
Yep.
because like there was this guy who was going to die of cancer, and she saw the future for him, and all she saw was computers. Like he wasn't in it, and she's like, "I see your future has computers involved, which probably means he's recording the dead people database."
Mm.
And well, he called bullcrap and said she's a fraud. Another guy was like, "Oh, I bet you're a fraud too," immediately after him. And she's like, "Okay, what makes you think I'm a fraud?" And she's like, "All right, read my future." And she goes, "All right." She sees his dad covered in blood and him crying. He says, "You need to go speak to your dad immediately." The guy's like, "That's bullcrap. I have no idea what you're talking about. You're a fraud. That's so vague." And guess what happens? His dad gets murdered.
Well.
And, yeah, it's the same guy who was like super angsty because his dad was an occultic scientist, right?
Yep.
Um, and then MC gets a radio that just talks to him, and it's some cute girl voice, and he tries
Same.
to show people, and then like the radio's like, "Are you insane? I'm a talking radio. They'll like lock you up and take me away." um yeah, cold. Like I said, the other Steins Gate stuff, like Steins Gate universe stuff, is so weird, so weird, so weird.
Oh
Wait a second.
dear.
I wonder if robotics notes is a part of that.
Oh.
It has the same naming convention.
Oh.
Robotic
Okay.
notes. It might be. Hold up, let me check. Hmm. It is.
Interesting.
Like I said, that universe is so weird. Let's see. make a lot of games. Made a Psychopath game. What the crap? On that universe, but yeah. Ooh, anonymous code. I don't know what that is, but it has the same naming convention as that. Wow, there is a lot of Chaos Head. It must have the light novel, not light novel, but the VN must have done so well.
Okay.
Yeah. The heck, they made Bravely default Flying Fairy. What the heck is
Really?
that? Oh, is that the original one? Yeah, that's one of the games they made for the portable games.
Interesting. Huh.
Anything else that's noticeable? Corpse Party, Blood Covered, Repeated Fear. I know Corpse Party is pretty popular.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I was saying, that universe is like so weird. They all live in Japan, so I have no idea how no one knows each other.
Well, they also established that alternate timelines are a thing.
Yeah, but when you have swords that like tear through dimensions, though,
Yeah.
if I recall correctly, they could manipulate reality because if you reject the current reality, you can form your own one, and that was like the powers of the MCs. I watched it like in 10th grade after
Hmm.
2 years of not watching Steins Gate, and I didn't realize it was in the same universe as Steins Gate, and I watched it. You know that fifth grade Ilya we used to hang out with? The one
Yeah.
who was like actually Ilya's age in Clyde. Anyways, she watched it too, and I was telling her about how it was so weird. She's like, it wasn't that weird, and I was like, it was so weird. What are you talking about? It's not that weird. Whatever happened to her? She hung out with Makoto
Uh,
and then turned into a toxic person. That's the word I'm going to use. And then vanished.
oh dear.
Guys, you got to have tact with what you say.
Yes. I think the moral of the story is don't let Makotos get their hands on your lollies.
Yeah. Well, she's like 11. That's very influential age.
Yes.
She's a polite little girl. Very nice. I thought she was like 15 because of how she talked at least. Nope. I was like, oh, well, kids these days. She's not even, how old is she now? 14? Almost 14? That sounds about right. Well, I guess she isn't that little anymore.
Yeah.
She's okay. She was having bad problems with her parents. Anyways, back to anime. Because that is not for this. Um, see anything else? They did Infinite Stratas. My oh my, they like harems.
Oh dear.
Let's see. The new anime season is coming up, so I'm going to pull up the anime list, and I'm not going to read extensively what it is because we saved that for when we have more than 2 members. But I am going to
Yeah.
pull up some things that have caught my attention. So give me a few seconds as I pull up the stuff. Let's see. So the spring season is coming up. Attack on Titan 2 season 2 is finally coming out, actually. Interestingly enough. Despite everyone hating Berserk, Berserk is coming back because, and they don't hate the manga. They just hated the CG anime because, oh, the new Yu-Gi-Oh is coming back.
Hmm.
Let's see. Um, Anything else that's interesting? There's an Otome TV short that's going to be airing.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I forgot that right after the SAO movie, there'd be a fairy tale movie following right
Rip.
up. Um, Yeah. Oh, interesting. I don't see my Oh my God, is that a new Beyblade? It is a new Beyblade.
Hmm.
Ah, Casey staff, and I found them. Probably doing a Yuri. It's a comedy Maho shoujo, probably gay. They really have recently just been doing weird fan servicey anime.
Yep.
Oh boy, this thing's being done by Silverlink. I gotta click on this. What is this? All right, so Buso Shoujo Machiavellianism. There's like 9 girls and 1 guy. So I'm going to assume this is somewhat of a harem. The battle action story follows Fudo Nomura, who transfers to a school where girls carry weapons to rule mercilessly over the boys. Shortly after transferring, he becomes a target of Rin Onigarawa, a member of the 5 ruling swords that commands the school. In order to break free, he must defeat the 5 ruling swords. So, like, can the guys not wield weapons, or do they have inferior weapons, or like, are they just wimps? Okay, I'm gonna read this one that was next to it because it caught my attention. All right, Renai Bokun. The story begins when Guri, an angel with a mysterious item which turns any two people who kiss into a couple, appears before a high school boy named Seiji. I know. However, there is a yandere high school girl named Akane who loves Seiji.
Okay.
The yandere is just gonna hound him until she gets to kiss, whatever. All right, the new Boruto anime is coming out. Um, yeah, that's all I'll read for now. We can wait. Oh, it's spin-off of Iseron to pick up girls in a dungeon.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, they'll do that, but they won't do Index 3. Okay. They'll force the writer to make a movie that they wrote canon, but they won't do Index 3. Okay. A couple of stuff I said I'd watch is on here, but I still haven't watched anything from last season, so there's that. I still haven't finished anything from like 2 seasons ago.
Oh dear.
Oh, I thought that was another Gundam, but it's not. Yeah, there's not a lot coming out this year, it just seems. God, there's more movies than anything else.
I see.
Yeah. Alright, so, let's see. What's a good segue from light novel, visual novels? Oh, I guess, oh, we could talk about bad adaptations of visual novels,
Oh.
like Tsukihime. I watched the first 4 episodes.
Okay.
As for Okay, so I watched the 4 first episodes dubbed because I had a natural continuation from only watching Dean dubbed, so I had to do it. Shiki is voiced by the guy who voices Toshiro, and
Okay.
Arc is voiced by the girl who voices Rukia and Saber in the in Unlimited Blade Works movie.
Okay.
So, it's just Toshiro and Rukia screaming crap at each other, and it's kind of funny. I forget who Alco is voiced by. But it was someone I knew from Bleach, and I was like, oh god, no. Um, let's see. Akiha is really mean throughout the whole beginning. And I don't know how accurate that is, because according to CL, she's significantly nicer, but she's really mean. Like,
Well, she's kind of not really a tsundere.
because, like, she's like, what's the term we're gonna use? She's like that hentai chick who gets raped mean.
What?
Usually, if you're mean or a boy that's like under the age of 11 in hentai, you get raped.
Oh.
That's a
Okay.
thing. Me and Toma make that joke. Just
Oh,
actually, the only time you're safe in anime from being raped is if you're the old guy. If you're literally anyone else, you can get raped. That is the thing. Literally, unless you're an old Japanese man, you're the only guy safe from rape.
I see.
This is the Japanese's fetish. I can't. I didn't watch hentai, but I think that's hilarious because me and Toma talk about how this is just a thing.
I can't.
Yeah, most people don't realize that, like, literally in just like the arrow stuff that's written over there, anyone gets raped except the old guys. Like Yoroshoda, raped. Volley, you never stood a chance. Teenage boy who's attractive. Oh, if you're not the main villain, rip your virginity. Um, MILF, never stood a chance. Girl who's like relatively female in any way possible. Buddha chick. Trap. Old lady. Old ladies aren't in hentai.
Well,
Furry. Yep, it's pretty bad. Alien chick. Yeah. Alien dude. Yeah. Anything that's not a tentacle monster. Yeah.
well,
And oh yeah, it was a fan comic of Vel'Koz talking to Ash, and Ash is like, "Oh no, you're gonna molest me," and Vel'Koz is like, "No, not at all. I'm an alien. I'm here to kill you. Why would I ever molest you?" And Ash is like, "Are you saying I'm not attractive enough to molest?" And Vel'Koz is like, "No, I'm saying I just don't molest people. I'm here to like laser them to death. What do you think this is?" I thought that was funny. Anyone doesn't know, Vel'Koz is like this giant eye with 3 tentacles, and Ash is this chick whose boobs are just exposed in the cold because reasons.
yep.
I never got that. Her and Trundamere just don't wear much clothes, and I don't understand. They live in the glaciers.
This is how you Freljord.
They're like married, and like I don't understand how neither of them wear clothes.
That's the fetish.
Ugh. Oh my! I think Ash is out of his league, but whatever. Politic, political marriages, though. Like, there's a very few characters who are in each other's leagues who are actually shipped. Like Ezreal and Lux, and then that's like it. Gangplank had a thing for Illinois, and I think Gangplank could do slightly better than that, but whatever. I like me some Illinois. Not like that, but because she's my spirit animal. I relate to Illinois on so many levels. Like, she's dark skinned, she's not skinny,
Hmm.
she has a giant tentacle monster coming out of the vase she has in her hand. That sounds like my life. How she dances, I like how the tentacles dance with her. That makes my day every time in lane.
Well, yeah. When Reed and I were doing norms a while ago, I was leaning against an Eloy, and I'm just like, I haven't leaned against an Eloy like ever. This
She
is disastrous.
she is such a bully. And did you know they nerfed every single one of her abilities like twice?
Really.
Yep, and her
Surprisingly, I
passive.
didn't use lane, but my KDA was negative until after the lane phase was over.
That's because you didn't lose lane because although her push is great, she runs out of mana if she tries to be too aggressive. And like the problem is she's been nerfed into the ground. Like she's still OP, but like they nerfed what she can do, like hardcore. They
Hmm.
like nerfed her range, They nerf the damage she does. They nerf how much she heals. Like, she's still super aggressive, but the only reason you do bad is because she's so aggressive.
Hmm.
Like, that's why no one plays her, because League was like, well, we made her OP. Let's screw her over. No one plays her anyway, so she doesn't have big boobs.
Um, yeah, like, she had me under tower for a while, but, basically she decided to roam, and I just went and took her tower.
Well, I mean, if you're under tower, there's not much you can do, because once you dive, you can just get kited really hard as Illinois. That's a problem. If you
Hmm.
kite Illinois, there's literally nothing she can do. She's like
I
Darius,
guess.
but without a pull and slow.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
So,
So I assume, like, anyone, like a a Bane, Teemo,
if you're playing like
Quinn, any of those. Hmm?
Kennen or Vlad, you can screw around with her a bit. Because
Okay.
Kennen and Vlad have a mobility move that... Well, Kennen doesn't come invulnerable, but he gets a bonus to speed, defense, and magic resistance.
Yep.
And he has a stun. Whereas Vlad can just heal himself, even though I hate Vlad as a champion. I think he's a horrible champion for team health, but whatever. That's just my opinion. I think the same thing of Olaf. I hate both of them.
Mm.
Because,
Mm.
I have an Olaf on my team, and all he does is go, oh, and then dies.
Whereas
And then I have a...
but he doesn't kill anyone either.
He just farms. Vlad, all he does is farm. All he does. That's all he does. Literally. And you're like, well, you know what? If I wanted to waste 20 minutes, I could have gone outside and just sat and stared at the road. Because that's what it feels like when you're laning against Vlad. Because you know that the person you're laning against is going to wimp out every time you do anything and just be like, you thought, and then pool.
Mm.
You know it. I can't imagine a lane between two Vlads.
Just sucking each other off for like 25 minutes.
Yes. And then, at the end game, both teams are reporting both Vlads. Because they didn't leave top the whole game. They still had the shield as their first item and didn't go back once.
Same.
They were sitting on 20k gold.
Same. Jungler just ganks and they pull away.
Yeah. Both junglers gank at the same time. The junglers just walk away. I don't have time for this crap. 10 Vlads in mirror match, or one for all.
Total KDA 1-2.
My God. That sounds horrible. Because mirror match one for all was a thing on ARAM.
Oh my God.
So you can't back. And there was just one champion on the whole field. There was an Illinois match and everyone ulted at the same time.
Oh dear.
And there was just tentacles upon tentacles upon tentacles. And it was so bad. I think only one Illinois survived. Because I think they ulted last, is what it was.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
We talked about video games, so we talked about anime. Now let's talk about comics for a little bit.
Okay.
The Judas Contract is coming out soon. Logan just came out today, and I gotta go see Logan. The Lego Batman movie.
That too.
This will be the first movie I'm seeing with my dad after being 18. Like, that's an 18 or older movie, essentially. Lego Batman. Lego Batman is breaking records, actually.
I've heard it's pretty good.
I heard it was very funny. Excellent children's movie, and there's a lot of adult humor in there, just for the parents taking their children there. And, the teenagers going to go see it because, well, they like Legos and it's Batman.
Yep.
Because Lego video games are fantastic.
Yep.
Usually, I don't know why they're so good. Oh, my God. Like...
The good thing with it is when you're playing a Lego video game, right? You're not expecting it to be hard. You just dick around and it's fun.
Yeah, and they have a lot of jokes in there that are funny no matter how old you are. if you're playing Chewbacca in the Star Wars games, he can tear off stormtroopers' arms because of the thing Han Solo says in the ship.
Hmm.
You see, droids aren't known to rip people's arms out of their sockets when they get angry when they're losing. Also, Magna Guards, if you're playing as them, when they get down to one heart, their heads fall off.
That's pretty great.
What's another one of the quirky things? Well, the original trilogy game was way more smoothed out mechanically than the prequel trilogy game, because the prequel trilogy game was made first.
Hmm.
And but in the prequel trilogy game, like the area was bigger, and you hang out in the bar from the second movie,
Hmm.
the diner, and
Hmm. You can go
the fight.
outside a diner too, if I remember.
Yeah, you can go outside in the diner, and people would fight because the Emperor would walk by Yoda, and they'd start fighting. The bar fights in that game were so fun because you could just start them by punching one person, and everyone gets up and starts shooting each other.
Hmm.
Why don't we have a Star Wars game where we can just do stuff? The closest to that was like Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, and they didn't give us the option to do stuff. It should have really been free roam.
Oh yeah. Actually, I think the Knights of the Old Republic games gave you a little more. You can just go and do stuff. Because I played the first one a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just kind of like, oh, you land on this planet. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff to do. You can go and do it. Oh, there's some bounty hunters. Okay, I'm gonna
Well,
recruit this bounty hunter.
well, from what I understand, after the first Star Wars Battlefront, the second Star Wars Battlefront, and the first Force Unleashed, Star Wars games began this decline
Mm,
because like the early 2000s stuff, from what I understand, is like really good.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I why can't we just have another shooter like Star Wars Battlefront 2? Like it's not so bullet spongy, right? And it's not so machine guns wreck everything,
Yeah.
right? You know, HP is nice.
Mm.
I like the stamina mechanic.
Well, the big thing is in Battlefront, you don't have regenerating stamina, but when you take damage, you need to go and heal or have a medic help you out.
Yes, which I think is a nice change from shooters, currently.
Yes.
Because I prefer a health bar. Maybe it's just the fighter slash RPG player, where I have consistent health bars.
Yeah.
Like, sure, Cole McGrath is health bar is fun and all because his is like unique.
Well,
Like,
he's
because
a
even
superhero, right?
yes,
He has power over lightning. So, it makes sense that he's a superhero. He can take a couple bullets to the face and,
well, also he has electromagnetic field surrounding him, so there's that too.
yes.
Like,
Well,
he has
another thing, like when you're playing Infamous, yes, you feel so powerful, and yes,
Yep.
you can take a couple bullets, but it never feels like you're just this bullet sponge,
Yes.
right? Like when you take a bunch of hits, you feel it. You're like, I need to not take all these hits.
Yes. Thank God for the shield.
Yes.
Um.
Um.
Now you got me thinking about Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. In the first one, at the beginning of the game, if you're playing on hard with like a minimum health gallon, you die in like 2 hits. It's kind of
Mm,
funny, but
yep.
like late game, since you're Darth Vader, you're essentially pimp slapping away, bullets, so it makes sense.
Mm,
But early game, if you play on hard, like even in the second one, you just die in 2 hits. And I showed my friend that he was like, "I don't get it, but Gallon's supposed to be OP," and I'm like, "Hardest difficulty at minimum health.
yeah.
It's supposed to be like this." But back to Star Wars Battlefront 2, that game is just so mechanically sound.
Oh yeah.
Like with today's tech, they could make the map so much bigger, and then like they can
Yes.
smooth out the graphics. Like add maybe a few more maps because they had a lot of maps already. Like for that matter,
Mm-hmm.
maybe just expand the maps a little bit, make them like make the graphics better. You gotta.
Well, what I'd really like to see is have the maps have more interesting quirks
Mhm.
because, like, yeah, the maps are cool, but like they could put a bunch of weird crap and make all the maps more interesting.
In
Because
the first one, Sarlacc Pit is interactable with.
okay,
There's like 2 maps for every single planet in the first one,
mm,
except the key planets. So Camino, Geonosis, Yavin 4, no, actually Hoth, and then what do I call it? Is it Coruscant? I don't think it's Coruscant. What's the main base of the Empire? I'm trying to think, because it's a certain planet.
okay,
Crap, it might be Coruscant. No, Coruscant wasn't in that game, was it? I don't think so. No, it wasn't. Was it? Crap, I haven't played in so long that I can't remember. No, it's Kashyyyk, I think. No, is it Kashyyyk? God dang it, what is it? No, Kashyyyk has 2 maps, I forgot. Also, air battles and because like you could fly ships. Like space battles weren't a thing in the first one, so you could fly ships around the battlefield.
okay.
Like you could have TIE bombers on like regular areas, and you just bomb the crap out of everything.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Um, what was it? God dang it, I literally cannot remember. I Endor. That's what it was. Okay. Yes, Endor. Those planets were like if you conquered them, you like because the Galactic Conquest, it wasn't a game board.
Mm,
It was a turn-based click on. It wasn't a game board, so it's slightly different.
okay.
Also, you didn't have to buy units, but you could get bonuses. And the way bonuses worked is you got bonuses from planets you had already conquered.
Yep.
So it re-incentivized conquering, but it made it harder to make comebacks essentially.
Okay.
Galactic Conquest is so fun.
Yeah. I
Like when
think
you're playing, did you play it with friends? Like, because like when you're playing with a friend, Galactic Conquest gets heated real quick.
because you just take your friend's crap.
Yes, and you're like, "Yo, that ain't cool," and you're like, "Well, also since they see you do everything, your friend will low key throw shit like, "Are you really gonna do that?" And you're like, "Yep." Like for example, going on Geonosis and having the sabotage mechanic. So all the vehicles are down to like minimum health.
Okay.
That is savage,
Does that
right?
you can blow up the walker? That.
Yep.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Cool. It also works space battles.
Okay.
Ships start off with like they die if they leave. It's broken, but Garrison is the most useful one easily because you get 40 more units if you're running low,
Mm,
and 40 people can change the whole course of a battle.
yeah.
Um, Usually what I'll do is I'll buy. I don't even buy Clone Marines when I do Galactic Conquest. What I like to do is I like to hoard up money,
Yep.
buy 3 ships, place them in key locations, and then just wait.
Okay.
However, I got 4 ships on the map once, but each ship has an increasing cost.
Yep.
But essentially, I was screwing around and letting them taking planets so I could take them back to get money.
Yep.
And I got the 4th ship, and I was like, I have so much control.
Mm,
Um, Also, after you beat the campaign story, which is a fantastic campaign, by the way, for a shooter.
mm,
Playing Galactic Conquest is really what you do. That and like normals, and may I just say, instant action is one of the most fantastic mechanics for a shooter that you could ever give.
oh yeah.
No one wants to wait for PvP. No one. No one wants to sit there for 30 minutes waiting for 6 people to join a match so you could have a 6 versus 6 shooter fight.
Yep.
You know what people want? They want the 16 versus 16 at any given time, right? Play with a
Yep.
friend, instantaneously fun, right? Play by yourself, still fun because you put it on elite. You turn off. You don't have your award weapons. Like for example, like you know how you like start to get permanent award weapons. You
Yep.
can just not change your weapon and just use normal weapons. It's so much fun.
Yep.
Like, sure you can't turn off enhanced armor, but why would you want to turn off enhanced armor and elite when they can one shot you? Like, are you crazy?
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Thank God that's like one of the first ones. Enhanced stamina, enhanced armor. Like if those weren't the first ones, you'd get wrecked so quickly trying to grind award weapons.
Oh yeah. Because like you just get those like naturally playing the game.
Yeah,
Like the other ones you need to grind. Except maybe
and
like
then like, except maybe like the what? The pistol one.
the sniper pistol.
Yeah, that pistol is so good.
Because like everyone has a pistol and you just wind up getting it.
That pistol is Boba Fett, not Jango Fett's pistol.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's essentially like a slightly buffed version of Jango Fett's pistol.
I get you. I really like
And then
the
they
upgraded sniper rifle because
where
it
it's
does
essentially
so
just
much damage.
yeah, it just beams people.
Yep.
You know, and you're like, oh crap.
Like low key, the upgraded sniper rifle in that game is just a laser.
Yes. You literally are disintegrating a person in the skull when you do that.
Yep. Like you don't even need to headshot people when you have that thing. You just click the zoom button, hit them, and they die.
Yep. My God, I need that game in my life.
Yes.
Like, PS Vita has a bundle with like the first one, the second one, the Force Unleashed one, and then like Republic, and then like the PS Vita one,
Oh, that.
where it's like you could customize your character, fly into space from ground, and you could have any two factions fight each other.
Mm,
Why don't we have that now? Why can't we just have clones versus Empire, or rebels versus droids, or droids versus empires? Like, do you know how much fun that'd be? I don't care if you hate the prequels. Playing as the clone, you play as literally every other faction besides the rebels. Let's be real.
yes.
Everyone does. No one plays the rebels. They suck.
Yes.
The only good classes they have are like Wookiee in the first one, and then like Bothan Spy.
Yes.
And playing as a Bothan Spy is just like playing as a Droideka. You don't do it. You have AIs help you who are good at it.
Yep.
Because having an AI Droideka is about 10 times more useful than you playing as a Droideka.
Yes.
Having an AI Bothan Spy back you up is 10 times more useful than you playing as a Bothan Spy. Because enemies have clairvoyance on Elite.
Yes.
I hate that. They always know.
Yep.
And you're like, that's bullcrap.
Yes.
That is so bullcrap. Did you know if you're like in a bad situation when you're reloading, if you press shoot, you'll have loaded one bullet and you shoot off one bullet and then you'll go back to reloading with your pistol?
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. That's a really good mechanic.
I found that out when I was screwing around with the award pistol and I got into a really tough situation.
Mm.
Yeah, I found that out, and I used it ever since after that. The game is really good. They like really thought out how to do stuff.
Yeah.
Like also, if you hold down the rifle thing, it starts misfiring.
Yep.
That's also a fantastic mechanic for people who just spam the machine guns.
Yes.
Or how like OP infinite weapons overheat really fast.
Yes.
Like, it's good stuff.
Yeah. They've got the units who have the rally abilities. That's such a good game.
It's because they're charismatic leaders. I think that's so legit. Like,
Yep.
I just wish the Nightingales had staffs. That's my only thing.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, probably the one thing that game is lacking is that like only Jedi have melee attacks.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, like, I get why they didn't want to do it because they really don't want to like unbalance the regular units.
Yep.
Because like melee is kind of a broken mechanic, and shooting games because like
Yeah.
you'll take 10 bullets to the face, but like when someone punches you, you die.
Yep.
But
Um.
clones and like Imperial units have stun batons, so you know
Yeah.
rebels. I think rebels have knives. Droids will just punch you because they're made of metal.
Yeah. Yeah. What really makes me sad is like, the new Star Wars Battlefront isn't a bad game. It's just it doesn't capture the spirit of the originals at all.
Yes, it's not.
It's just like generic Star Wars shooter.
Yes, and Star Wars Battlefront has so much character to it.
Hmm.
Like they wrote a story that was cohesive and linked to the movies.
And really good.
Yes,
Like, let's not forget that.
like and it didn't even conflict with the other games at the time, like Star Wars: The Force Unleashed 1, where it was also trying to
Mm.
link the movies. It didn't conflict with any of that.
Hmm.
Like the only thing would be like the fact they didn't mention Gallon was killing their people at the Death Star. But other than that, Gallon killing stormtroopers was kept on low key, like secret, because Gallon killed everyone. Because
Yep.
Darth Vader's orders were like, "You literally kill everyone. Let no one escape whenever I send you somewhere.
Yep.
Literally no one." And that's
Well,
exactly what you do, and that's what
um,
that.
I'm angry at Disney for retconning Star Killer
Yes,
because that was really cool and it just didn't need to be retconned.
sure they could have retconned the second one out of existence. I wouldn't have cared because that's like DLC. But the
Yeah.
first one, like, sure they could have nerfed his powers a bit. Like I wouldn't have minded. Like I'm fine. Like nerf him to below Anakin. I don't care. It's not like he was trained by Anakin for like 12 years. Oh wait,
Yeah, I get you.
but like also I think it's funny because Darth Vader was low key training Starkiller to kill Obi-Wan.
Yep.
Because like in the files, if you look, that hologram droid that he was using had all of Obi-Wan's moves programmed into it, and his most frequent sparring partner was Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh dear.
'Cause-
Um,
Yeah,
it just really makes me sad that they retcon that out of existence because like they put a lot of time, money, and effort into that game,
yes.
and it really shows because the first one was so good.
So George Lucas actually he says he doesn't like touching the external stuff, but he actually stuck his hand in the Force Unleashed when he was reading the story. He was reading it, and they were going to have a romance between Starkiller and Leia, and then he's like, "You know what? I don't like that. Take that out." And they're like, "But we worked so." And he's like, "Just take it out." So they invented Juno Eclipse
Mm.
because initially your pilot was going to be a generic guy that you just hang out with,
Yep.
but they wanted to put a love interest, and they're like, "Huh? Well, we already wrote Juno Eclipse as a guy. I mean, make her a woman, and then the love interest. Let's do it." And that's why you have Juno Eclipse.
Interesting because like she was pretty well written.
Yes. Well, I'm assuming your pilot buddy was supposed to be like your best bro.
Yeah.
So, also she's not super gay, so that's kind
Yeah.
of good carryover because it could have been Fang.
Yeah.
You know. But I'm actually glad George Lucas stuck his hand in there because that would have made it less canon. But because he did that,
Mm.
it made the first one significantly more believable as a story.
Oh yeah. The big thing is like, yeah, it ties into stuff that happens in like the main series, but like the main series stands on its own without it. It just is sort of like, oh, this happened and this is interesting.
Well, Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Force Unleashed take place right in that tender area that everyone wants to hear the story of, the 19 years.
Yep.
But the movie we got for the 19 years took place 3 days before the 19th year.
Yeah.
So I don't understand Why they'd give us that instead of that
Hmm.
19-year span where Jedi were still around, but being hunted,
Yep.
and clones were slowly being shifted out.
You know that before LucasArts got closed, they were working on this like really cool looking bounty hunter game.
1313 or a different one?
Yeah, it was 1313.
1313 got scrapped like 6 times because every time Lucas Arts was about to do it or finish it,
Mm.
something bad happened,
Mm.
and then finally when they picked it up again, Disney was like, "Hey, Lucas," and he's like, "What? You want money?" And he's like, "I always want money," and then he bought it.
Yeah, rest in LucasArts. You made
And
good games once upon a time.
it was a rated M game. It was going to be the first one, and then they're like, "Oh, we'll
Yep.
make it teen," and then Disney bought them, and they're like, "Well, I guess we're not making it all then."
Yep.
I don't think Disney wanted to touch that because Disney's trying to have all their characters be nice and clean,
Mm.
even though
Hello.
that's not what the stuff.
Hey yo, Kira.
I just made it back home and I finished setting up my stuff.
We're talking about
Oh,
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Dang, I missed a good conversation.
We're kind of in the middle of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
When did Star Wars Battlefront 2 come out? Actually, let me look this up. I accidentally put S Wars instead of Star Wars.
Same.
Me 3.
Is that day I see in the chat?
What?
If it is day, I'm in love. Because that means it was day.
Oh, dang. She's like never in the chat.
Yep.
Okay, let's see. So Star Wars Battlefront 2 got a 9.4 out of 10.
Yeah, deserves every point there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Came out in 2005. I was 6. I bought it when I was like 9. Didn't tell my mom because my mom would kill. But
12 years old.
yeah, and well, when I turned 12, my mom only let me play because I was killing droids, which
Yep.
is why I actually played mostly the clones. She didn't want me killing people because that'd be horrible, 12-year-old mind. So, anyways, I mainly killed droids, and my uncle liked playing droids because he likes wrist rockets. Right?
Yep.
So that's actually the main shooter game that my uncle likes. He doesn't like the other ones. Because my uncle's the OG Star Wars fan, right? And
Yep.
he thinks it's a good game. And he likes playing the campaign, but he just likes playing against me more because I'm smarter than the AIs.
Yeah.
So, and usually when it comes...
So, PC is crap.
Huh? I can hear you. Could you cut out for a second?
Players will do crazy stuff
Yes.
that, like, AIs won't do.
Which is usually why I end up with more points and he ends up with more kills, because I'll do some stuff, because I'm like, I'm not fighting my uncle, because my uncle will hold down the shoot button.
Yep.
Just shoot me right in the head.
Mm.
What his favorite thing to do is to hold down the shoot button and then fire wrist rockets at the same time as the super battle droid, which is a mean combo in low mobility areas.
Yep.
And in the first one, it should be noted that wrist rockets had 6 feet in the air knockups.
Oh.
So they took away that mechanic, but in the first one, which is the one he likes more because it has that mechanic, literally, when you fought a super battle droid, it felt super alright if you were not a jetpack trooper.
Okay.
Because what he does is he'll knock you up in the air, aim at your feet, won't even do much damage to you, but just knock you up, and then shoot you as you fall down and die.
Okay. Just get rid of all of your movement abilities and do a ton of damage to you, basically.
Yep. It's his favorite class. He likes the Wookiee, but he doesn't like how slow it is. Also, in the first one, Wookiee bowcasters are like they are in the movie, so you know how it's like one shot when it's not charged, but when it charges up, it turns into the spread.
Yep.
It's like that in the first one, and in the second one, they buffed it because they realized Wookiees were kind of slow, and they needed a buff.
Yep.
And also, pilots had shotguns, and not except for like the No, actually, I take that back. Pilots had tasers. They had the chaining tasers that the Dark Troopers had, and Dark Troopers had shotguns.
Oh.
So it was funny because Dark Troopers would jump in, and you'd be like, "What the?" And then they shotgun you in the face.
Okay.
Also, almost all the troops had 2 sets of grenades. Clones had thermal detonators and EMP grenades. Rebels had thermal detonators and concussion grenades. Concussion grenades you never used unless you ran out of thermal detonators.
Okay.
There's another interesting thing. Oh yeah, the classes weren't uniform because like lots of different classes had different weapons essentially. So like it wasn't as uniform as the second one is. Because they made the second one uniform, it's significantly more balanced. Also, in the first one, the amount of hits you can take varies so much that you call bullcrap on some consistency. Because you can take a lot of hits, but at the same time, you'll take like 2 hits and die, and you'll be like, what the crap, because of like where they hit you. So they amped up the consistency in the second one a lot. First one's still fun because essentially in the second one, they toned it down to like to get more areas in. They made it 1 map per area for the most part. However, in the first one, it's usually 2 areas per map. However, it was less map. It was like less areas you could go to, essentially, like less planets. And in the loading screen for the first one, it showed you where it showed you the galaxy, and then it zoom in, show you the solar system, then zoom in, show you the planet, then zoom in on the planet and show you the town.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
For Galactic Conquest, you could have contested planets because there was 2 areas. You captured one place, and then you capture the capital and win the place over.
Okay.
Like, there's a lot of mechanics I want from both of them to combine.
Oh yeah, I feel you. Like the flying spaceships on regular maps sounds like a cool mechanic.
It is a cool mechanic. Essentially, it was like a rock paper scissors thing because, like, if you got a missile off that heat seeks on a ship, it really hurt. But ships like destroyed tanks because they had so much mobility.
Yeah.
But tanks destroyed ground units so bad because tanks also had knock-up. When they shot you 10 feet in the air, and then you take damage from when you fell. It's essentially like how it was in the movies, more. Like, lots of stuff had knock-up, but a lot of the tanks didn't have secondary weapons. So you know how, like, in the game, the second one, tanks have a main weapon and then, like, a secondary weapon that does tons of damage?
Yep.
In the first one, the tanks didn't do that much damage, but they had the knock-up. So yeah, it was that. So Kira, did you ever play Star Wars Battlefront 2?
I did not.
Well, if I ever get over there, I'm bringing it to your house.
So you're willing to come all the way to New York?
I have family in New York. New York City, I believe. I have family in a lot of places. Mainly Florida, Texas, and New York, though. A couple in Jamaica and Mexico, though. See, the problem is the people in Mexico is I don't speak Spanish, and all of them only speak Spanish, so, you know, there is a language barrier between a good part of my family and me. And I feel horrible.
I feel it.
Because they love to talk to me. And I just smile. And, you know, they assume I know Spanish because when I was up until the age of 5, I spoke fluent Spanish. But then it wasn't spoken in my house anymore, and I just didn't speak it after that.
Yeah, I feel it.
Which is just a thing that happened to me, and I could have been bilingual, but I just ended up not being. Also didn't help that my mom and my dad got divorced, so Dad's the one who spoke Spanish.
Mm.
I get
In
you.
fact, like mostly everything I went to was in Spanish. Like my English was good, and so was my Spanish. But now, as you can see, I am not bilingual, and Spanish would have been such a useful skill to me because there's a lot of kids who don't speak English in my school because I have the IB program, so they come from other countries,
Yep.
and I cannot tell you how many days I just walk in class, and they're like, and they see me, and they come talk to me in Spanish, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. And like I can see the crushing like sorrow in their face because I can see that they feel alone. And
I
I'm
get
like,
you.
oh my god. And it crushes me every time because I'm like, I could have, been more proactive, but I was like 5.
Yeah, I get you.
And it hurts me because it happens every time. They still like to be friends with me, like
Mm.
afterwards usually, but I always
Mm.
feel like they feel sad because I don't speak their native tongue because things mean so much more in your native tongue.
Yeah,
Mm.
I know what you mean.
So yeah, this happened to me twice within like a week.
Fun.
And it just like feels bad.
Yeah, I feel horrible because I'm like, these kids, they're by themselves with their family, and they're only here for school, and they can't make friends because they don't speak the language very well, right? And they have to focus on their
Mm.
academics, and then they see someone, and now my dad likes to buy me Portuguese and Mexico shirts. My stepmother's Portuguese, right? So
Mm.
I'll wear a Mexico shirt, and which is sometimes not always a good thing. I'll just wear a shirt if it fits. If it's
Yep.
fits and not ugly, I'll just wear it, right? So
Yep.
they'll see that something like that, and pops in their head, speak Spanish, yay, 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 and then they come talk to me, and I don't, and their dreams are crushed, and I feel horrible because they walk away. They do the walk of shame because like they don't speak English very well. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like they'll say that, and I'll say, no, I'm the one who should be sorry, and then I'll just feel like, man, I could have been a help to them, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Well, but there was this one time, a couple weeks ago, when I had my Mexico shirt on and I wasn't wearing my jacket to cover it over, right?
Mm.
And I live in Florida, and now Florida only gets shady in like certain parts. But I was in an area where like I did not feel safe wearing a Mexico shirt at all.
Okay.
And my dad was legitimately like he got the vibe too,
Mm.
and he was gonna come in and stand with me because I was waiting for my sister.
Yep.
He was gonna come into the gas station and stand with me, but he decided not to because he wanted to have faith that nothing would happen.
Yep.
Fortunately, nothing did.
Mm.
But yes, there are areas in Florida that I do not feel safe in wearing ethnic shirts.
Sounds like America, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, on my dad's side, I'm a first generation American. On my mom's side, I'm a second generation.
Mm.
I mean, the family was kind of avoiding the states during segregation, so
Yeah.
that's the thing. But speaking of segregation, in Star Wars, Darth Vader is very specific on the clientele and, for that matter, the people he uses.
Mm.
He does not like non-humans at all. The only non-human he associates with is Jabba the Hutt, and that's because Jabba the Hutt has lots of money and bounty hunters he approves of.
Mm.
He doesn't like Jabba the Hutt at all, for that matter. He really hates him. But, you see, since the Empire came into power, Jabba can get his slave trade off more easily, much to Vader's chagrin, right?
Yep.
But Vader kind of needs that connection
Mm.
because, I mean, having access to Boba Fett is quite nice.
Yeah.
Also, it takes place during the 19 years that Boba Fett gets the nickname Disintegrator. And we
Okay.
just don't get to see that.
Mm.
I highly doubt we'll get to see it in the Han Solo movie either, because you know how they treat villains in the prequel Star Wars movies now. I was going somewhere. Oh yes, Vader has to let a lot of things go that piss him off because he's like a galaxy leader now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things where he has to just like gotta let it go. Someone brought up that the fact that Vader lives on Mustafar is like a big thing because he can't let go.
Hmm.
And yeah, yeah. Oh, Vader. I did like the idea that Vader was training Starkiller to just kill the people in his way.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm gonna need you to kill the Emperor and Obi-Wan. But that seems a little too hard for me right now. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna send you against the Jedi Master. And Galen Merrick's like, wait, you're not gonna Jedi Master? And he's like, yep. And Galen's like, are you sure? And he's just, yes, I'm very sure. And Galen Merrick's like, okay, whatever. He goes and kills Jedi Master after like a 6-year fight. That fight was so long to kill what's it, Shock T. Because Shock T is just so masterful. And Galen's like, I am strong, but this is bullcrap.
Yes. I like how Lady go back to that planet, and then her apprentice is like turned to the dark side, and Starkiller's just like, this is still bullcrap.
Yes. I like how he wails on her and is like, you need to stop that. I like how he's still like semi-Sith at that point, and he's just like, you just shouldn't do that.
Oh,
and she's like, why can't I beat you? And he's like, probably because you're garbage compared to your teacher. But don't do that. I'm wondering where she got the red crystals.
Yeah.
Because you have to go to a Sith planet to get them. And I know Darth Vader ain't letting Sith run around that he's not training.
Yeah.
So, well, he might. He's more likely to than the Emperor, for example.
Yeah.
Because Darth Vader doesn't believe in that stupid rule of 2 crap.
Well, then again, there's like the Shadow Guard and whatever.
Yeah, well, Darth Vader, like I said, Darth Vader is more likely to let something like that happen than the Emperor is. I think because Darth Vader's like, yo, let me have these Force wielders, the Emperor lets it slide. However, training a real apprentice, I don't think the Emperor is too big of a fan of that.
Oh, yeah. Because, it's not like the Shadow Guard is, like, an apprentice tier. I mean, at best, they're just a Sith assassin.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
yeah, they have Force powers. Yeah, they have lightsabers. But they're not a Sith.
Mm-hmm. They're like the Jedi Temple guards.
Yeah, totally, actually.
Vader doesn't... I'm pretty sure Vader doesn't like that stupid rule of 2. Because I feel like he... You know how he's constantly like, I'm going to kill that Emperor because we get nothing done.
Yeah.
He's constantly like that throughout the movies. Anytime Luke's like, Dad, no. He's like, Luke, come on, let's just kill the Emperor.
Same.
And Luke's like, Dad, no, please. And then Vader's like, no, seriously, let's kill the Emperor. Like, we get nothing done. We can get so much more done if you just help me out. Luke's like, Dad, no, please. He's like, why you gotta Padme me? I said the same thing to her.
Oh, dear.
If they did kill the Emperor, like Vader insisted the first time,
Yep.
the situation could have ended significantly less negatively.
Yes.
Luke did end up teaming up with his dad in the first, and in the end, anyways. I have no idea what the problem was there.
Yep.
Actually, if they killed the Emperor and then Luke fought Vader, he probably would have been in a much better position. They'd be like, Dad, listen to me or you die.
Yeah. Another thing, low-key, it's not like the fundamentals of the dark side are evil.
Yes.
They're opposed to the ideals of the light side, but they're not evil on paper. It's just,
It's more chaotic than anything.
Yeah, it's just silly people who like to enforce the rule of 2 are always evil because they're following the rule of 2, which dictates to kill anyone who's a threat.
Maul didn't believe... Well, Maul believed it low-key, but he thought that, Okay, so Maul being alive is canon. Meanwhile, we've killed Kira. Love you, Kira. Anyways, Sith
Same.
make that noise sometimes too, but Maul, he's like there only can be a master and apprentice. Now he did not say there only can be two Sith, but he was talking about the relationship between two Sith, right? So when the Emperor finds out that Maul has taken over like 4 planets and created a mini empire by manipulating political figures, by killing the heads and then just being like, I'm the boss now, and everyone's like, okay, Sith, that's fine. Because that's low-key what he did. The Emperor is like, Darth Maul's like so happy to see the Emperor. Because he's like, he thinks he's finally earned the respect of the Emperor. Emperor kills his apprentice. And then Darth Maul's like, that was my baby brother. And then, he freaks out on the Emperor, and the Emperor wrecks his face in. But, like, Darth Maul was just so happy. He's like, this is my brother. And the Emperor is just like, you're not my apprentice anymore. You're a threat. And he kills him. I'm like, Darth Maul was literally ready for him and his brother to help you out. What the crap?
Yep. The rule of 2, though.
That is so bullcrap.
Yes.
You get nothing done in 1,000 years. Like, sure, maybe like make it a rule of less than 100. Like, yeah. I'm down for that. Like, maybe even 100 is too much. Like, maybe 50. Like, that's 25 people doing stuff around the universe or galaxy rather.
Yep.
It's not a lot, but I can guarantee you it'd be much better.
Yeah, the now 2 skulking in the shadows, because if they show up, 40 Jedi are just gonna swarm them and kill them.
And all you have to do is legitimately just tell your apprentices not to kill each other, because the reason they were losing is because the apprentices were killing each other, and then the masters started killing the apprentices who killed their apprentices, because like, who gave you the right? And then the masters were killing the other masters who were killing their apprentices because the apprentices killed the other apprentices.
Yep.
Like, I agree with the fact that you shouldn't have more than one apprentice, because when Sith have more than one apprentice, it usually goes a little along the lines of, hey, Teach hasn't taught us anything in a while. Let's kill him. The other apprentice goes, I'm down. And they kill him.
Yep.
Like, sure, keep one apprentice. I'm down with that. But, like, 2 people. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, also, nowhere does it say Sith need to be greedy.
Yes.
Like, all it would really take is, like, the Sith to go, like, hey, you take over a couple planets, I'll take over a couple planets, you take over a couple planets, I'll take over a couple planets, and then they link up and they're like, hey, we've conquered the galaxy. Whoops.
Yep.
That's all it would take.
I mean,
it wouldn't be hard.
Not like they aren't following the same ideal.
Yes.
Because they are. They totally are.
It's just such a broad rule that shouldn't be enforced because it's so broad.
Yes. It's also so totally against, their goals.
Yes, an empire where the dark side can roam free. Dark side can't roam free if there's only 2 of you.
Yeah. I can't.
What's an empire without its super enforcing dark side citizens?
Yes. Like, low-key, I don't get you, rule of 2. I really don't. It doesn't make any sense.
So, Kira.
Yes.
You like Star Wars a little bit, right?
Yep.
Who's your favorite Jedi?
I don't know.
Or Sith? If it could be a Force wielder in general.
I don't know.
Okay. For canon, because Starkiller is not canon anymore, for canon, mine probably'd have to be Anakin / Vader or Obi-Wan.
Okay.
Because, like, Maul is cool, right? He has a cool AF fighting style, right? And he's really strong, but he gets cocky, right, and dies, so he doesn't get as much character development as I like. Problem with Count Dooku let himself be manipulated way too fast.
Yeah.
He was a grandmaster. He should have known where that was going from the beginning.
Mm.
Played his cards a little better, but he didn't.
Yep.
Like, he should have been getting in good with Anakin and Obi-Wan rather than pissing them off.
Yes.
Right? Like, when he offers Obi-Wan to, take over the galaxy, that was the wrong person to be offering. Should have aimed his sights at Anakin and not, necessarily piss off Obi-Wan. Maybe minimize encounters with the Jedi a little bit. Keep your standing.
Well, really low-key what Dooku should have done is he should have been just like, oh, yeah, Jedi, I'm actually with the Separatists, and then just, like, not explain his motivations, because the Jedi aren't just going to go and kill this guy who's, like, a former Grandmaster.
Yes.
Right? They'll be like, he's a Jedi, or he used to be a Jedi, he left for some reason. He's not actively doing anything evil, he's just with a different faction. Let's give him some space.
They were gonna, and Obi-Wan and Yoda were gonna do that until, he popped up at the, capture of a bunch of Jedi and wasn't gonna kill him. It was like, if he did not try to kill anyone, his bargaining chips would have been a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mace Windu is cool. So is Yoda, but
yeah.
I would have liked more Mace Windu screen time.
Yeah, I feel it.
More Yoda screen time too would have been nice.
Mm.
But they're supposed to be those OP guys that Anakin can't mess with just yet, right? But have trained Obi-Wan to be good enough to beat Anakin.
Yeah.
Because Obi-Wan says they're master, and I think he trained with both of them after Qui-Gon died.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Because, like, he was still a Padawan when Qui-Gon died. He wasn't a full-fledged knight.
Yeah, so they're like, so that's why he calls him master, because, like, afterwards, he took over. And then Qui-Gon couldn't become a Force Ghost fully because he didn't master it yet, but he knew how to talk through the Force.
Okay.
That's canon. Which is why Yoda says there's still training for you to do. He sends him to Qui-Gon.
I get you.
And Qui-Gon trains him to how to become a Force Ghost afterwards, which is why he shows up like as a Force Ghost. Because Yoda already mastered it, but Yoda's not teaching Obi-Wan anything more because Yoda needs to go rest.
Yep.
Because Yoda was too done with everyone's crap at that point in time.
Yoda was too damn old. Let's be real here.
Yeah, he was like 970 at that point. And he's like, I kind of got arthritis and like back problems. And I'm like reaching the peak age of my race.
Yep.
So, yeah. Because he's like a goblin race, and I'm not surprised goblins live for a long time.
Mm.
I mean, they're not humans. But yeah, alien races live a long time in Star Wars. But besides that, one of the quotes I like from Obi-Wan and Anakin's little conversations, because they're fun, is like, Obi-Wan's like, if you spend as much time training as you do picking out speeders, maybe you'd be as good as Yoda. And Anakin's like, I thought I already was as good as Yoda. I'm like, yeah, that's a good one, Anakin. Like, yeah. He can play ball with Yoda. But...
well, yeah, that's because Anakin's OP is crap.
Yeah, and, like, the movies try not to push that he's OP, but he's low-key OP.
Yes.
Like, when Count Dooku is fighting him in, like, the second movie, and you see on Count Dooku's face this absolute horror that this 14-year-old boy is kicking his butt for a couple seconds.
Yep. And Dooku's just like, I'm a freaking ex-Jedi Master turned Sith. What even is this?
Yes. And to never let this on, he constantly insults Anakin, up until his demise. And the same fear he had when Anakin was a teenager reappears on his face when both his hands are cut off. And he's just like, I could have played my cards better than this. I knew this boy was better than me, but I didn't expect it like this. And when the Emperor says, do it, and you see Count Dooku's face like, I hate you so much.
Yep. Yeah. My favorite Force wielder, I'm gonna go Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren's a good one. Despite how
Well,
much everyone hates him, he's a good one.
reason why I'm saying Kylo Ren is because he's a very different perspective from literally all of the other Force wielders we have, right?
Well, he is the Anakin and Vader at the same time.
Yes. Like, he's he's this cocky kid who's been trained as a Force wielder, is like super powerful, but is still kind of a scrub.
Yes. Because he's trained by Luke, and Luke is not nearly as good as any of as Obi-Wan or Anakin in their peaks, or Mace Windu or Yoda, the big ones. Those are the big guys. Let's be real. Out of the Jedi, when we're talking about the big canon ones, it is Mace Windu, Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Anakin. We don't talk about anyone else.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, sure, the other ones did stuff in other canon, but we don't talk about them. Like, especially since Shaak Ti got nerfed because she doesn't have stuff in other canon after they took away the Force Unleashed.
Yep.
Because that was a pretty BA fight on her part, like,
Yeah.
low key. But, so, like, we have those guys, right? They are so good at combat. Mace Windu is listed as one of the best Jedi combatants just in lightsaber combat. Right? Yoda is listed as one of the best Force wielders, period. Right? That's why they're Grandmasters. Obi-Wan and Anakin are listed as some of the best Jedi in general because of their capabilities. Because Obi-Wan is super skillful, right? He just doesn't have the raw power that Anakin has. Anakin has the raw power, but he doesn't have the super, super, super OP skill that Obi-Wan has, right? And that creates a balance between the two. Luke has that raw power that Anakin has. However, his skill is a lot less lacking than Anakin's.
Yeah, what's because
it's like
that's because like he trained under Obi-Wan for like 2 weeks, and then he trained under Yoda for like a month.
Yes. Yoda,
and then everything else, practical experience.
Yeah, which is why his sword swings are kind of lame. If you notice, Vader moves are kind of sluggish and fancy style because he doesn't like. I don't think he likes moving his hands too much, as he shows when he fights Galen in the Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, and he just kicks you rather than chopping off your arm because it's just too much.
Yep.
I love that, by the way, when he just kicks you across the map and you're like, oh, okay. And you're like, well, I forgot that I was fighting Vader, but obviously he needs to remind me. Or when you try to fight him with like any force powers and he just pin slaps it away until you get to the lightning scene.
Yes.
And Galen's just like, Vader is just better than me.
Yeah.
I have to cheat. I have to cheese this. Him and Luke did cheese it, though. Everyone cheeses Vader. No one ever beats him in a 1v1. They cheese every time. Let's go for his messed up hand. Let's go for his breathing mechanism.
Same. Let's have the high ground.
Yes. It's never fair whenever Anakin fights someone. It's always they're cheesing him. And he's just like so done with it that, and like when he fights Luke and Luke gets the high ground, he throws his lightsaber rather than going to jump at him. So apparently during his fight with Luke and the Emperor, he's reminded of when he fought Obi-Wan and when the Emperor fought Mace Windu.
Mm.
And he regrets not helping Mace Windu.
I feel it.
I would regret not helping Mace Windu too. I mean, like, sure, Anakin would eventually turn Sith by himself, right? But he had learned from Mace Windu and Yoda prior, turning evil. Oh man, the Jedi would be in a much more disconcerting situation.
Oh yeah, because like low key, just having, a Sidious, being the Grandmaster. Sidious just moves everything so slowly. It's like he's playing the long game of chess when he doesn't need to.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
He could have moved in his checkmates with Darth Maul 20 years prior.
Yes.
But he didn't. Like, yeah, but like I said, if had Anakin just stayed with the Jedi Order a little longer and learned from them too, that would have been no hope, and he wouldn't have gotten his arms chopped off.
Yeah, and he wouldn't be hooked up to a frickin', a breathalyzer.
Yeah, Obi-Wan would have died. Well, had Obi-Wan gone to fight him, that is. I
Yeah,
don't think Obi-Wan would have gone alone that time. It would be a different thing.
yeah,
But what Anakin probably would have done instead is, knowing because either way he was going to turn evil no matter what, he probably would have ended up converting a couple of Jedi by the end of it,
hmm.
and then they lead the assault on the Jedi Temple, and Anakin just slaughters most of the people because he'd be so OP at that point.
Well, like, low-key, he could just, like, force ragdoll people.
Yeah, he does in the Clone Wars, and it was fantastic. I told you about like how that Padawan tried to blame his Padawan for being evil, right?
Yep.
When he ragdolls her, that was one of the most satisfying things ever because you can tell he was getting pissed, right?
Hmm.
Because he's getting pissed because she's fighting him, and he's like, "This is a Padawan that you know what I can do?" Lifts her up with the Force and starts crushing her, and she just like she just drops her lightsabers and just gets wrecked. And he's like, "Arrest her." And I'm like, "Yep, that sounds pretty Anakin to me."
Yeah.
Because when you're just yeah.
Keep going.
I was just gonna say because when you're just that good with the Force, because Yoda will just didn't Yoda almost pick up the Emperor at one part or something like that because he was screwing around with the Force because they were like throwing stuff at each other.
I don't remember.
I think he picked up the platform that the Emperor was on or something like that because
Okay.
they were like jumping around the thing. Because remember they were like throwing chairs around the Senate at each other.
Yeah.
I like when Yoda's like, "Fight me, Emperor," and the Emperor's like, "I don't need to fight you. I already know I'd win." And the Emperor's low key trying to run away.
Yep.
And Yoda's like, "Oh, then why are you scared?" And I was like, "That's because the Emperor does not have the 900 plus years of experience."
Yes. Like, the Emperor can, play ball, but, like, let's be real. He wins that fight because he's 800 plus years younger than Yoda.
Yes,
Stamina.
that was the problem. Like he was like in his late 50s. Yoda's in his dying days.
Hmm.
Like it was the point where Yoda just didn't move much. Like even on the battlefield. Remember when he was on Kashyyyk, he just had to sit still because he was getting old.
Yep.
I still like when they like try to go assassinate him and he just chops their heads off.
Hmm.
And Chewbacca's just like, "Oh, well,
Yep.
Okay." Chewbacca, I think, is like 90, and that's why he's buddies with Yoda because they knew each other before the Clone Wars started.
Okay.
Because apparently Wookiees like live for a couple hundred years. I think
I get you.
the bear people OP.
Yeah.
Actually, the super bear people. I forgot the Ewoks existed.
Did you mean the teddy bear people?
Yes. I like how they thought that like Chewbacca was a super big one of them. Because low-key, that's what he is, but... My favorite thing is how they worship C-3PO. I hate the Ewoks, but I like how they worship C-3PO. C-3PO deserves some love after all the crap they put him through.
Well, let's be real here. C-3PO is like a giant golden dude to them.
Yeah. He is Kami-sama. He's like, based on their dialect, I think they think I'm God. Oh my. Shall I inform them that I'm like a protocol droid and Han Solo and like Leia are like, "No, don't say anything, don't say anything, don't say anything." Poor C-3PO for all those movies. He goes through so much crap.
Yes.
Remember when Anakin first builds him and he's like, "Oh my god, I'm naked." And Anakin's
Yes.
like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't put your plating on."
Oh dear. Yeah. But
Right.
I like Kylo Ren.
People hate on him so much, but Kylo Ren is the result of everything Luke and everyone has done up until this point.
Yeah,
he's the
great.
culmination.
He didn't get wrecked by Rey for no reason.
Like I said, Kylo Ren is the culmination of everyone's decision in Star Wars up until now.
Mm-hmm.
That is exactly the character he is. People hate on him because he's apparently too weak. I think it's bullcrap. He's totally strong.
Oh, yeah. Like, he got beaten by Rey because A, Rey is bullcrap. B, he had taken a frickin' Wookiee bowcaster bolt to the side like a half hour before.
And
See,
he fought
just
Faye.
killed his dad.
Yes. He fought Finn. He was emotionally compromised. He's screwing out with Finn. Finn hit him, and he's like, oh yeah, I forgot these guys are trained how to use stun batons. Whoops.
Yep.
And he's like, and wrecks Finn immediately after. He's like, oh yeah, I forgot we trained these guys. He'd gotten so used to the fact that stormtroopers were incompetent that he forgot that they're trained in stun baton combat.
Yeah. Then Rey shows up and he's like, okay, I'll fight you. Wait, this is actually bullcrap.
What do you mean you can use my grandpa's lightsaber? Who are you?
Yep.
No one in my family has a British accent. What the crap? He's like, there's no way. Even Obi-Wan wasn't that sensitive to my dad's lightsaber. It's probably what was running through his head.
Yep.
Probably also thinking, my mom can't even lift a lightsaber. What, even?
Yeah. Let's be real, though. Rey is some BS.
Yes, Rey is...
Broken.
Yes.
Like, it's funny because, like, J.J. Abrams, he's got a thing for, badass, warrior chicks, right?
Yeah, it's his fetish. He loves making strong women.
Right? And, he didn't direct the Star Trek movie that came out, shortly after The Force Awakens, but he, executive produced it. And that had, a BA, chick who was, alone on a planet for a while, and she was done so much better than Rey. Just so much better. And I'm like, JJ, why?
Well, I believe what he wanted was someone who could hold their own against Anakin and Luke. Now, you see, the problem is Luke couldn't hold his own against Anakin even if he wanted to when Anakin was the same age as Luke, right?
Yep.
Now, I believe he wanted Rey to be on par with Anakin, but Anakin had already had 20 years of training.
Yep.
So there was that. Luke had culmination. Actually, he fought for about 5 years by the end, because it takes place over the course of 5 years, and it's 24.
Yeah.
Most people forget it takes place over the course of 5 years. Actually,
Mm.
Star Wars actually the original trilogy takes place for 5 years. It's actually a much shorter time compared to the prequels, but because the prequels take place for 14 years.
Yeah.
But Rey is I feel like he just wanted. When you're writing a story and you want to be at that arc already, and you want to be at the arc, where stuff gets fun.
Mm.
Where you get to start writing what you want to. Every writer knows this feeling. They want to get to that point. I feel like JJ wanted to get to that point, but he didn't want to have 4 movies worth of content.
I feel it. The problem is he just made race. Yes. Holy cow.
I know he kind of made the rest of the cast look like bumbling idiots, but there's that.
Yeah.
I hate to say that about my boy Han Solo, but he did kind of make him look like an idiot.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rey is the character who you want to just be at that arc. You just want that character to be that strength level so they can fight this character that you already have planned up. You have that villain in your mind. You want to get to them, but that character that you have has to have their story first, right? I believe that Rey is the result of him wanting to get to that point, but him jumping the gun because he didn't want to have to write that much. Not because he's lazy, but because it takes too much time and money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily actually believe it's because he's a bad writer. Do I hate Rey intensely because she makes Anakin and Luke look like idiots compared when they first start? Yes. Yes, I do. Very much. Because she's bullcrap. Do I hate how they treated Finn? A little bit. Everyone complains that he's a wimp. I don't blame him because you know what? Low key, I'd run away from a lot of that crap too. I'd be so done.
Well, yeah.
So
when
done.
you don't have magic mind powers and you have a chance to get out of this BS, you get out of this BS.
Han Solo did it too. Don't forget, Han Solo's like, y'all crazy. But he has a thing for Leia, so he comes back. And Luke, he thought about Luke being this little brother that he's just letting die, and he's like, that'll stay on my conscience. I'm letting a kid die.
Yeah.
Like, scumbag or not, letting a kid die is a lot different than letting an adult die. Like, it's like, hey kid, came back for you. Knew you couldn't handle it without me. Luke's like, Han Solo! Too bad you didn't come here 20 minutes earlier before my entire squadron got shot down.
Same.
Notice that's not what Luke said, but yeah.
Let's be real here, they were getting shot down anyway.
Yeah. I cared less about the new guys in Rey's movie than even them, because Luke had dialogue with them.
Yep.
In a movie, like, oh yeah, these are like Luke's friends when he was like a kid and he hasn't seen them in like 10 years.
Yep.
Right? They all vanished, and he's like, oh man, it's so good to see you guys. And then like, you know, Rey's pilots from her movie were just these guys that we had no prior introduction to at all.
Oh, yeah.
Like
we had 15 minutes of Poe Dameron dialogue, and then it was people who Poe Dameron knew.
Yes. So, low-key, did anyone think that Finn and Poe were going to kiss when their faces were like closed for like 10 minutes? I was like, me, my uncle, and my dad all thought it. We're like, low-key, they're going to make out, and it's going to be nasty. But because they're like both sweaty, and like, yeah. And then they didn't. And I was like, oh, okay. But it felt like it with their faces that close. I'm like, you don't hold anyone's face that close. You hold your parents' face that close when you know you're hugging them. But like, you don't just grab each other's faces like that. That's weird. You don't even do that with your bros. Like, you don't even say, like, even if you say no homo, it's still kind of homo. Like, I was like, oh, are they going to make Finn bi? Okay. Nope. I was like, oh, well, you know, that was just a weird scene then. I mean, if you weren't pushing that, then that scene was just bizarre.
Yeah. Another issue that I have with The Force Awakens is it's almost like they tried too hard to make it just A New Hope.
Yes. There are good things from the prequels that people just neglect to say because they don't want to talk about the prequels, right?
Yeah.
And there are bad things about OG Star Wars that people just don't want to say because it's OG Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
For example, can we stop doing the Death Star for the love of freaking God? That scene where Han Solo and the crew are talking like, so it's a Death Star, right? Like, it's not a Death Star. It's something significantly out of the Death Star's tier. And then after he explains it, the crew goes, so it's a Death Star.
Yes.
That scene is literally that entire movie in a nutshell.
Yes.
And the last one, too. And, like, A New Hope, too. Like, not A New Hope, but Return of the Jedi. Like, so it's a Death Star. And, like, no, it's 2.5 times bigger than the Death Star. And, like, so it's a Death Star.
Yep. The one thing I do like about Starkiller Base is they did make it, like, more BA than the Death Star.
Yes, but they did defy the laws of physics. But
Yes.
my uncle was talking, and he's like, that was a lot of bullcrap, but we're going to let it go because it's Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, that was totally what I was thinking the entire time.
I didn't think about it like that, Well, my uncle was talking, and I was like, "Yeah, Style Magnus doesn't even have flames close to the sun, but he just like melt through most of the top of the Earth.
Yeah.
The only reason he doesn't is because he has runes, right? So like, I was starting to think about it, and I was like, yeah, that is pretty bullcrap.
Yeah. Also the fact that it was literally, shooting freaking laser barrages into different solar systems,
Yes,
which would normally take years. You would like need to go into warp, then fire at a planet, then go into warp and fire at a new planet.
that's why the Death Star took like months to get places.
Yes.
Yeah, they didn't think that through
Hmm.
very well.
It was cool.
But
What they wanted it to do was really cool. The special effects were pretty good, but yeah.
I still like how all the ships are only going Mach 1.
Yeah.
That's canon, and I'm like, I don't know if they could do some of those things at Mach 1. Like, I mean, that's like in air, but I don't know how much faster you'd go at going at Mach 1. Maybe like a little bit faster because no air resistance, but if you're going at Mach 1, you're going at Mach 1.
Yeah.
So like, I can only question how the space things work because they have to be going like Mach 35 in reality.
Yeah.
Like when you're flying into space like that,
Hmm.
it's like closer to like Mach 30.
Hmm.
That's not Mach. You're not flying into space at Mach 1. Were you an airplane? That's crazy. No, you don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Star Wars, though.
Star Wars needs Jesus, but Star Trek for that part is kind of sound, but at the same time, Star Trek has like these weird teleporting things. It's kind of like okay, like sure, like for example, like distances between planets. I think in Star Trek is probably more believable because like they hang out in small parts of the galaxy, right?
Yep.
They don't go too far, but again, there's also some stuff in Star Trek where you're just like, that doesn't make sense. But okay, Star Trek, let's let that go because you're Star Trek.
One of the big things I like about Star Trek is the fact that, at least in the TV shows, like they would literally just be like, "Oh, we've been in space flying for a month at like warp 4."
Yeah.
Right. And then, then they reach a system they want to do something in.
And it always ends poorly.
Yes.
Always ends poorly. Anytime they do anything in Star Trek, they're like, man, we shouldn't have done that. Because like they get to a planet and they're like, okay, let's do something here. They do something there, and it comes back to bite them 10 seconds later, and they're like, God dang it, Captain Kirk, did you screw someone again? And he's like, no, as he hides the chick under the blankets.
Same.
I like how in the reboots, like, he's just smashing someone, and you think it's a normal girl, and then the lights turn on, she's green, and you're like, oh.
Same Kirk. Same.
Yeah, I'd do it, though. Like, I'm down. Green girls? Anytime, bro. But yeah, Kirk's like, as long as you're relatively humanoid female, I'm down. I don't blame him, but yeah. He's like an exotic foods taster, but with women from alien planets. I'll try anything once. He's like Star Lord if Star Lord conducted himself with class. From like movie yeah. Star Lord though.
That's because Kirk is actually like a military officer, let's be real here.
Yeah.
Whereas Star Lord is the opposite.
They apparently nerfed Star Lord really hard in the Marvel movie. Because apparently he's got like cosmic. He's got like weird cosmic powers, right?
Yeah.
That are apparently like really cool. But apparently they ripped that just out of his character.
Oh dear.
Alright guys, we've been going for an hour and 50 minutes. And I said we'd be shortening it down, but I think that's long enough for a special. So guys, today has been Anichat Not So Special Anniversary Special. With me today has been the violin.
Yes.
Also with me today has been Star Killer Alex.
Same.
And I have been Grandmaster Gil. So, see you guys next time.